Where's the inflation? Where is it? All this printing press money. The government's printing money. Too much money chasing too few goods. There's going to be massive inflation. It's here. It's coming. The government's been printing money for as long as the eye can see. Look at this. This is from 1938. 1938 cartoon. U.S. citizen debt load mounts. Peak of pre-Roosevelt U.S. war debt, 1919, per capita was $246. The amount of U.S. debt per capita, 246,000. That is in after the World War. That was during World War I. Like, oh, the war will always take on debt. Here's 1938 U.S. debt per capita, 302. Without a war. That's before we even went to World War II. We did not know we were going to the war. And look, you can see pre-Roosevelt, during the U.S. World War I, and then it fell after, silent cow and whatnot. It started growing under Roosevelt, 302. All right, so that was an issue back then. All right, so let me show you something else though. Okay, so that's we've been dealing with government printing for a long, long time. All right, so let's go to food inflation, and here's all the inflation and deflation, inflation back in the 30s and 40s and in the 50s, and here's the beginning of the freaking Nixon chaos. Well, Nixon was started 68, but you can see the massive inflation in the 70s and we whipped inflation now. Massive deflation, inflation, deflation, crazy, and then just leveled off. Has government debt gone down since then? Nope. That's food inflation. Interesting. Let's look at this. This is average retail electricity prices in the U.S. 1990 to 2019. $6.50 at 57 cents a kilowatt hour in 1990. $10.06 a kilowatt hour in 2019. So we take our trusty Texas instrument. 6.57 is what we're starting. 10.6 is what we're ending, and we're going to go 30 years and it's 1.6% has been the increase in electricity costs. 1.6, and please don't tell me it's because of solar. It's not. 1.6%. Interesting. All right, let's look at this. Oh, gasoline. Well, that's got to go up. Gasoline in 1994 is $1.078, and you can see gasoline is more of a supply-demand thing because we certainly have the oil in the ground that we can use to refine and whatnot to get gasoline out of. But still, even at the end of the day, right now we're at $2.25. So we were at what, 1.078. Oops, 1.078. And that was, let's just say 25 years ago. And now we're at, what are we at here now? 2.258. That's a 3% increase each and every year in gasoline. And again, it's but you could say this, look at deflation from 2012 to today. Is that was it at 368? Now it's at 225. Interesting, huh? Isn't that nuts? All right, so let's see what else we got on here. We got that. We'll go right here. We go to gas, and then we'll say, well, there's another one I want to look at here. Healthcare has been high, absolutely, but energy, part of which is electricity, hasn't gone up much. Food hasn't gone up much. In fact, I want to show you something else. Housing utilities, from starting in 1970, essentially, when I was around, is averaged about 3.9% a year increase. Okay. Interesting, huh? So that's not, the government spending has been going crazy, and yet we haven't seen hardly any inflation to show for it whatsoever. It's nuts. We already did the food. Let's take a look at import prices. All right, so we'll go to max. All right, imagine import. Yeah. So we got going back to 1988. We're sitting about 85. Now it's at 120. Import prices certainly haven't gone through the roof by any stretch of the imagination. All right, let me find something. Let's see, what else do I want to show you here? Let's see, I want to show consumer, retail sales, as personal income. All right, so we'll go to personal income, and you can see that's a wide variance there, but still, Personal income, a little bit there, up and down, up and down, up and down, but basically kind of flat at about 2 to 3%, right? So that's nothing extraordinary. Again, if we had massive amounts of debt, you think the personal income would be going through the roof to keep up with the inflation that's coming, and we don't see it. Isn't that interesting? Let's go to personal spending, and I haven't looked at this, so I'm just, I'm literally just going off the thing here. Personal spending, look, just pretty flat across the board. The personal spending, and that's again, consumer spending is about 70% of GDP, pretty flat. We're going as far back as you can see, pretty flat, other than this insane last year, which was just nuts. All right, so bear with me. I want to show you something else here. Hold on a sec. All right, so we're going to talk about food as a whole, but here's, let's see. Here we got bread. All right, bread was at basically $1.50 in 1990, and today is at $3.16. Well, that's a gallon of milk. That's milk, excuse me. Milk was basically at $1.50 in 1990, and today is at $3.16. So if we take 30 years, we take $1.50, present value, $3.16. That's in 2000, I think in 17 is when this article is written. So let's say 25 years just for simplicity. That's gone up by 3% a year. Not hyperinflation. Food, bread. Bread was much cheaper in the 90s. Average price was $1.29 per loaf back then. Right there, present value, and that's going back 30 years, and now it's at $3.20, 3%. So again, not extraordinarily high inflation. Eggs was about $1 for a dozen. Now it's at $2. All right, so I mean, again, about 3%. Now, but cars, Josh, cars. Well, the cars have added a lot of amenities to it. Back rear view, background cameras, just tons of different amenities in the cars for sure. A lot more electronics than was before. So cars have gone up, but if you're buying a new car every year, then what are you doing? Part two of that is you shouldn't be buying a new car that much. I mean, I talk to people all the time who are still driving 10, 15-year-old cars, as I am. Well, 2013 9-year-old car. My 2013, is that a Toyota Highlander? Is that 9? So yeah, I mean, the cars are expensive once you have to buy a new car, but if you're not buying a new car every year, I mean, it's just, then you're getting a lot more amenities and safety features and all that, a lot more plastic too, by the way. But houses, Josh, houses. All right, well, houses go up with the percent of real inflation. The idea that housing prices have gone through the roof is just silly. They're just not. They're gone through the roof relative to what you remember buying your first house many, many moons ago. Housing goes with the rate of inflation. It's just all there is to it. And don't forget, we're buying bigger houses, or at least we have been, bigger houses for smaller families. But that doesn't matter. The only thing that matters in the housing is your property tax, because this house may or may not have gone up in value. I'm in it. It doesn't matter. If I'm not moving, who cares? Well, your property tax. All right, well, your property tax is not that big to begin with. So let's say you have $3,500 a year in property taxes. It goes up by 3% a year. That's not going to break the bank. Apples. In 1990s, apples were priced about 99 cents a pound. Now they're about 144. Not hyperinflation. 3 cans Campbell's tomato soup. In the 1990s, it cost you get 3 cans for $1. Now you pay about $1 a can in 2018. So that's expensive, but certainly not hyperinflation. 2 cans of tuna would have cost about $1 in 1990, and now you get 1 can for $1. All right, so again, 3% inflation. That's it, man. So just again, where is the inflation? And what I didn't like about this article is, one of the most fondly remembered decades of the 90s, ranging back from music to who was president. Oh, God. Why does the liberals always have to put that in everything, man, in politics? The idea that there's going to be this mass amount of inflation because government spending, where is it? Where is it? And that doesn't mean it can't come, but can we stop saying government spends, thus high inflation? Government spends, high inflation. Where? At some point, you have to be right to make that correlation. To say that causation or correlation leads to causation, the correlation leads to causation. We don't see causation, whatever it is. To say this happens and that happened. It's just not there. I'm not saying it can't. I'm just saying no one knows. So can you stop with this? Like, hyperinflation's coming. Where, man? Where? It's not there. It's not there. The only reason hyperinflation, so we talk about bread, we talk about that, kilowatt hour, house, okay. The only reason we have hyperinflation is because government scarcity. It's not because of printing press. It's because government regulations causing scarcity. That's why. And then what happens is that stuff goes to the black market, and we don't even know how to account for it. It's not because of the government printing money. Look, I don't like the government printing money. I don't. But just at the end of the day, can we stop this idea that the government printing money is inherently going to lead to hyperinflation? It hasn't happened. Doesn't mean it can't. It hasn't across the world. So stop. I'd like to hear your thoughts. All right, we'll see you.